So about a year ago, at the end of my Monica Magica review, I promised that I would review Persona 3. It's been a year. I haven't done it, which is kinda bad, but I hit 100 subscribers recently. So I thought the best way to celebrate it is to finally review Persona 3, which should be right here. Right here. So today, my friends, we're gonna review Persona 3. But, I don't think I like this look. I'm gonna try something new today. Yeah.
That's a lot better. Alright, let's get on with the review. Persona 3 follows the story of a young man named Makoto Yuki.
He's a newcomer to Gekkoukan High School, but unlike most anime, this movie doesn't take place in the high school, no. It takes place in something called the Dark Hour. A hidden hour in the day that happens when the clock hits midnight. It's a time only a certain few can see, and those who do might have the potential to summon things called personas.
Personas are best described as alter egos. They're like a different version of you used to fight shadows, a main enemy throughout the Persona series.
During the Dark Hour, Makoto's school changes into a giant tower called Tartarus, a shadow nest, and it's up to Makoto and his friends to destroy it so no one will be harmed by the shadows that it creates.
Now, earlier I said that if you're awake during the Dark Hour, it most likely means you have the potential to summon a persona, but that's not the case all the time. Now, you could be awake during the Dark Hour and not have the potential, and if you do, the shadows will
eat your soul, more or less, and you turn into a lifeless shell of yourself. They call this state apathy syndrome. Most people don't know what it's caused by, but the few who do want to stop it. That's the main reason Makoto and his friends want to take down Tartarus.
So all around, I really like these characters. A lot. Even though in the beginning they're kind of annoying, but as the movie goes on, they really hit their stride. With, a little something I like to call character development.
Junpei at first is a lovable goof, but with issues of always wanting to be the leader. But as time went on, he started to figure out having that power doesn't mean that you're the only one others depend on. And Yukari does this as well, but went from being a high-strung bitch to an enjoyable, friendly character that I liked.
The only character that got really no character development was the main character himself, Makoto. Makoto is a very emotionless teenage boy who has no character traits really to speak of.
He really has no real emotional ties to anything besides a memory he keeps flashing back to of when his parents died. That's not a spoiler, by the way. Just wanted to let you know. He's like a life-size doll, honestly. He cares for no one, not even himself. He's not afraid of death, but not in like a heroic way where you'd be impressed, but honestly, in the best way I could describe it so people would understand is like an emo type of way. He's actually kind of a prick.
Makoto has no real personality to speak of, at all. If someone asks him to do something, he'll just do it. The only time you see him do something out of the kindness of his heart is when he sees a girl named Fukuyama Gishi get bullied.
She would have to pick up her stuff after the evil, bad girls would throw it on the ground. Really nice, bullies. You really raised the bar for bullies by doing that. Besides that, Makoto has no real development. Well, until like 3/4 into the movie, but that's still no excuse for making a totally lifeless character, guys. No excuse. So remember from the character segment when I talked about the girl named Fuka that was getting bullied? Well, one night, the girls that were messing with her locked her in a gym closet overnight. But fearing that she might kill herself, they came back to make sure she was okay. But she wasn't there anymore. So of course they got worried, so they were looking. But in doing this, 2 of the bastard girls got themselves apathy syndrome. So then after some investigation, Makoto and the guys figured out what actually happened to Fuka. So then they go out to go and get her, and maybe even join the C's team.
By the way, the name of their team is called C's. I don't know if I went over it in the review, I don't think I did, but I'm just going to call them that from now on because it's a lot easier.
They decided to have a meeting beforehand to think up a strategy for the best way to figure out where Fuka is. They come up with a theory that since she was in the school when the Dark Hour happened, she must have been taken to Tartarus that way. But before heading out, Yukari had to be a total prick and get into an argument with Makoto saying more or less that he's a bad person and he should feel bad about it. So Makoto stays behind to keep the last bully safe at the dorm while the others go and find Fuka since it's going to be an easy mission anyway. But as viewers, we know that's not going to happen and irony is a thing. So Junpei and Akihiko go into Tartarus to find Fuka by entering the same way she does.
So the 2 guys find Fuka, which is great. But on the other side of the spectrum where Yukari and Mitsuru are, they're getting attacked by 2 giant shadows. Because, like I said, irony is a thing.
everyone on the team joins back up together to see these giant shadows. At first it seemed like it was going to be an easy fight. Then they used some crazy witch magic and stopped getting hurt by the attacks. While this is happening, the girl Makoto was watching got out because, yeah, Makoto wasn't watching her. So Makoto was told by a mysterious boy that there was going to be 2 trials that night, and putting 1 and 1 together, he figured out that his friends would need his help. He got there in time to see all of his friends lying on the ground on the verge of death. They all tell him to take Fuka and leave so he can live. Not gonna lie though, I honestly hated this scene. If it was just a few times telling him to leave to emphasize the intense situation, I'd love it. But no, they had to keep saying it over and over again and again and again. And Makoto just stands there listening.
It's just yell after yell after yell of the same thing. Leave, save yourself, leave, save yourself, leave, save your... Just shut up! It's fucking annoying! Ugh. Okay.
So Makoto starts fighting the shadows so he can save his friends, as well as Fuka finding out that her ability is to sense the weakness of enemies. And after she figures that out, the whole team just wrecks them. It's so good! It definitely helps make me forget about that awful scene from before. But then after that, everything is calm again. The bully and Fuka become friends, and Makoto smiles. And honestly, this was a great ending. So here's the pros and cons of this movie. Pros. It's beautifully animated. I love every scene in this movie. It's a really fun movie to watch, especially if you played the game. It's really nice seeing characters fighting with weapons, unlike Persona 4 the animation where they relied a lot on the personas, which isn't bad, but using weapons just seems cooler. The story was very well paced. It didn't feel like they were rushing anything. It felt like they were just going to take it slow and let's enjoy our time. I really enjoyed that. Now for the cons. In the beginning, the characters felt very different than they did in the game. I know it's an adaptation of a game to a movie, but you still gotta have the characters feel the same at least. Some of the non-canon stuff felt unneeded, example being the meeting in the beginning where they were talking about Makoto.
So on this channel and my other channel where me and my buddy Guitars play video games, I talk about Persona a good amount. But mostly Persona 4 because that's my favorite game of all time. But what introduced me to Persona was actually Persona 3. And for the longest time I considered that the best in the series.
The idea of an animated series of Persona 3 where they put a lot of attention to the detail, like the stuff in the background, and the plot just made me so excited. I was more than happy to hear this news. Now I may have been a little hard on this movie during the characters portion of this video, but I honestly loved this movie. For me and probably others, it was a nice change of pace. I mean, for everyone who's played Persona 3, we've probably, beat it a trillion billion times? So seeing it a little bit different was nice. It was also nostalgic in a way to hear the music from the game being played in the movie. It just felt so good.
By the way, the music in this movie is just fucking tasteful. I mean, the stuff that they brought over from the game and the new stuff that Shoji Meguro did for this movie is just fucking good. And the attention to detail? That's great! Like putting the little social link characters just in the background so you can just be like, oh, I know who that is. That's so awesome. It's just so good. I love it. What I'm trying to get across is this movie is just amazing and I think everyone should watch it. It's really, really good. It's really good. So yes, for me, Persona had its ups and downs.
It was a beautifully animated spectacle and I'm really happy I got to see it. But some things in it did seem a little out of place. For those of you who haven't seen this movie and really do love the dub of the video games, I'm kind of sorry to say there is no dub as of this review. So I can't really say anything about the dub, but yeah, that sucks. And with everything I went over in this video for Persona 3 Spring of Birth, I'll have to give it its worth rating of worth buying. Especially if you're a fan of the game, it's really, really good. It's an honest-to-God great representation of the first third of the game. Right now it's licensed by Aniplex and we know how much they love dubbing their movies, but if you can get your hands on it, I suggest that you pick it up. If you've already watched this movie and liked it and want a different recommendation, then I'd probably say watch Persona 4 the animation for obvious reasons, and Sea Control because they kind of have like summoning creatures like Personas in that one too. It's really good. Also, my recommendation for this video for an anime that may or may not have to do with this is Mushi-shi, a supernatural mystery solving type show. I legit just started watching it and it is wonderful. Or, you know, if you didn't want to watch something, you could, you know, play the game of Persona 3, or the sequel, Persona 4, or any of the spin-offs. They're all really, really good. Thank you so much for watching this video. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you liked what you saw here, then you might want to watch my last video, which is the video on the left. Top 7 Dragon Ball Z movies, in my opinion. Or if you like video games, then click that video on the right for Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland. I know a lot of people have Let's Plays, but you know what? Mine is just as good. Just as good. If I have Twitter and Instagram, I barely use the Twitter, and the Instagram is technically the Here's the Guitarist one, but I use it from time to time. So if you want to follow that, I mean, I wouldn't mind. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.